Thank you. Mr. Allen, have you ever used Twitter? Yes or no?
I have utilized Twitter, yes.
Okay, and is your account at Marcus A970-50645?
That is absolutely not my account.
Okay, that's not your account. Well, on December 5th, 2022, an account under the name Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said,
That
quote,
is not my account, ma'am.
You haven't let me finish the question, sir.
Might have been the football player.
You haven't let me finish the question. And the time is mine. On December 5th, 2022, an account under the name of Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said, quote, Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th, retweet if you agree, end quote. Do you agree with that statement? Yes or no?
That is, I don't, no ma'am. That's not my account at all.
I'm asking whether you agree with that statement, yes or no?
Can you please rephrase the statement?
Yeah. Do you think
the
that
gentlelady
Nancy
has
Pelosi
expired.
staged January 6th? I just want him to answer this last question.
Yeah, he'll answer. I'm just telling you your time's up.
Do you believe that Nancy Pelosi, do you agree with the statement that this person tweeted that Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you.
What a freaking dumbass. And that person is an elected government official. Yeah. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukardowski here of wearechange.org, and there is a lot of wild and crazy things to get into in this particular broadcast, especially when it comes to the story of the decade that a lot of very powerful people are very upset about and don't want you talking about. That's why we're going to be talking about that, plus the huge bombshell information that, of course, we need to be reminded of every single day to fully get a context of what's really going on here, especially when it comes to your tax dollars and the government you're financing. And we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that's based on science that I have on me right now, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, actual probable real events that happened in secret government laboratories. And the video that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is of Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, who is proudly serving the 38th District of California. Oh, she's from California. What a surprise there. Who is, of course, fully on board with the agenda and narrative, proudly with her purple hair, not even able to make a fact-based question to Marcus Allen, who, of course, has been suspended without pay for over a year by the FBI for allegedly being disloyal. This is as, of course, the FBI has a long track record of hiding and hurting whistleblowers and agents within their own organization that actually try to help people, uncovering a lot of the wrongdoing that the agency actually does themselves. We're going to be talking about that in a greater context in just a little bit. But before we do, we wanted to get into some other stories, particularly, especially when it comes to the U.S. economy, which we're finding out today, lost an estimated $14 trillion and counting, all because the previous administration wanted 2 weeks to slow the spread that had small and medium-sized businesses shut down while mega corporations were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. People were given $2,000 checks as bigger bailouts were given out to bigger multinational corporations. The Federal Reserve was just printing money out of thin air, handing it over to their friends at BlackRock. And now we're finding that because of all of that, yes, there's some negative consequences to that. Who would have thought? This says, of course, the U.S. economy is definitely in bad shape, as a new survey is showing that nearly 40% of American households are having a hard time making ends meet, that they can't pay for expenses. This, as it doesn't take a genius to say that we are definitely in some financial trouble, as even Elon Musk warns of an economic headwind coming our way, as he is openly criticizing the U.S. Federal Reserve for being too slow to lower rates. All of this as the economy is slowing down. In the making of this video, the Dow Jones average is down, and a lot of people are predicting another housing crisis inside of the United States, with estimated homes and properties expected to plummet on average 15% in the United States. This, as the latest numbers are coming in, are showing that home prices are going down all throughout the United States. Some of them had the biggest dive in 11 years. All of this as mortgage rates continue to increase. There's a limited supply of housing, which the demand increases as, of course, there's more people being imported into this country, making housing go up and the cost of labor going down. This is essentially a Koch brothers plan being realized that we are all living through right now. This, as it's even the mega corporate giants that are dealing with some significant problems, as the CEO of Target recently came out and said that theft in his stores is costing them millions of dollars, as people are estimating that Target has lost nearly $500 million to shoplifters recently, as the retailer just posted a $1.2 billion decline due to alleged inflation, supply chain chaos, and of course, thieves. Thieves that are being incentivized and promoted by district attorneys, that are being financed by a billionaire that we can't even mention here on this broadcast, that is sowing division and chaos inside of the United States. CNN recently had a headline about the real reason stores are closing in big cities, and it's not just Target. It's also Walmart that allegedly is going through a bloodbath as they are closing down a lot of their stores and locations, and Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, a company that not only loves to promote woke ideas, but also tries to get young children to consume their alcohol that of course poisons their body, is also dealing with some significant economic pressures, as of course there's a boycott going down of this entire industry after they of course had a lucrative sponsorship deal with Dylan Mulvaney, who, according to all accounts, is now tanking the company. Bud Light has been so desperate trying to get new customers that they are not only releasing a camo beer can, but they have resorted to giving out their beer for free. Yes, you heard that correctly, as they are offering a $20 rebate in some stores for unsold cases of beer that are worth $19.98, costing the company 2 cents to give the product away that they're literally paying people for. This, as Budweiser has been in damage control since, of course, their attempt towards getting small children to drink their beer. And my reaction from this entire story is that good. You reap what you sow, and the power of the individual is incredibly strong to actually change things in our society. And this is one reason out of many reasons why we started lucanfiltered.com, a website where you get to meet and interact other like-minded individuals in a quasi-secret, not-so-secret organization that, of course, we have on lucanfiltered.com. We talk a lot on the forum. We have 3 masterclasses that you could take with other students. Go along through your progress through the forum. We also have exclusive merchandise only available for members, and a video almost every single day only available for members of lucanfiltered.com. Signing up, it's quick, it's easy. Click right here, put in your information, you get your login information through your email, bada bing, bada boom, and you're inside a coveted members only section with nearly 10 years of exclusive videos that were never before seen from the general public, with real, honest, frank discussions that we could only get into here on this particular broadcast. And there's a lot of things that we cannot talk about here on this specific platform, so we created our own. There's a lot of nonsense in our mainline society. There's a lot of ridiculousness, and sadly, we can't have those conversations here. We're going to have it, lucanfiltered.com, right after this one. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Click the link right in the description right now, and I will see you there right after this broadcast, as of course, we are still not done here, as I think this is a fair representation of what's happening inside of the U.S. political system right now. It's all being blown up from inside of the internal organs of corrupted politicians that are absolutely ruthless, seedy, and psychopathic. And with the majority of the American public realizing, hey, there's a lot of sickos in Washington, D.C., this brings us to the main topic of today's discussion, and that is the latest updates when it comes to the story of the decade that a lot of very powerful people want to go away, and that story is surrounding Mr. Epstein and the latest lawsuits surrounding him, specifically happening in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Specific lawsuits that have subpoenaed very prominent, powerful individuals, especially when it comes to individuals at Google, especially when it comes to even individuals like Elon Musk, as there is an important court proceeding here that I think is worth paying attention to, as this story here and a lot of the other lawsuits here do shed a light on the very little we know about the out and open extortion and international trafficking operation of children that happened, paid for by U.S. tax dollars for the last few decades. This, as some of the documents coming out are pretty mind-blowing, specifically recent ones released by the Washington Post, but highlighting specifically how a lot of very powerful elite people are regretting hanging out with the man that was publicly known for procuring small children for people to do really bad things to. Yeah, you would think publicly hanging out with a guy who has been convicted of that, who has been known for doing that for many years, would be a big faux pas. But a key component to the story is how the corporate media lost the narrative here, because if we remember just a few years ago, the corporate media was telling you that Mr. Epstein was a glamorous investor. He was an entrepreneur. He was a business-savvy man that should be adored. VH1 did Life of the Rich and Famous, specifically highlighting this mystery man, as of course he rubbed shoulders with presidents, with tech moguls, while at the same time literally hurting children in ways that we can't even describe here on this particular broadcast. This is a family-friendly broadcast, and we're not going to get into some of the most gory details here, but from all accounts, what was happening here was sick. It was disturbing, and it was all done with many powerful people, including the corporate media, aiding and abetting it in many different ways. The latest accusation is that, according to these latest lawsuits, the major banking institutions were also aiding and abetting it by moving around a ton of money to individuals like Noam Chomsky, of all people, which we're finding out Mr. Epstein was moving money for. This, as of course, he was highly connected to MIT, he was highly connected to Harvard. All of this as major banking institutions like Deutsche Bank, like JP Morgan and Chase, were not following any rules, were not following any regulations, and were allowing him to do whatever he wanted with his bank accounts without any scrutiny, oversight, and regulations that the average person usually has to go through. This, as we're finding out that many of the banking executives were very close to this individual, and Deutsche Bank settled $75 million in this lawsuit after a judge ruled in the favor of the victims here and the accusers who are now being paid off by Deutsche Bank that settled this case rather than it actually going to, of course, any other kind of future court proceedings. Now, how is Noam Chomsky, how is Harvard, how is MIT involved here? Well, there was a lot of projects that Mr. Epstein was working on, particularly surrounding eugenics, population control, something that his very close friend had a lot of interest in himself, and that, of course, is Mr. Bill Gates, who, of course, is being enriched more than ever through his Microsoft stock and is living his life unabated, untroubled, after he had clear and extensive ties to one of the world's most sinister, evil human beings that routinely he has not told the truth about. Now, this matters. This entire story matters because, as we know, Mr. Epstein was running an extortion operation and had secret surveillance cameras wired almost everywhere that he went. Along with that were videotapes, photos of very powerful people doing unspeakable things to children that magically went missing after an FBI raid. Now, what happened? Well, the FBI doesn't know. The DOJ was supposed to release an investigation. They haven't. The only person asking about that investigation that actually reached out to the DOJ was Tucker Carlson, days before he was canned and, of course, shut down on Fox News. So what happened to this DOJ investigation? What happened to this missing photos and videos and all this evidence of all these powerful people doing really horrible things to small children? Where are the CDs? Where are the hard drives? Why did they disappear? Who has them now, and what are they doing with them? Should be the question that every American is asking, since, of course, your tax dollars financed this. Are there videotapes of Mr. Gates, Mr. Chomsky, who promoted very ridiculous ideas recently, especially when it came to the national health emergency that we're dealing with? Mr. Gates, that of course keeps representing some of the most worst, horrible ideas on the face of this earth, is the reason why these individuals are talking about such unpopular policies and trying to get them through, mainly because there might be some extortion material on them? Well, that's an actual possibility here, and I think more likely than we could even expect it to be, as of course there's a lot of money being moved around here by major financial institutions that finally we're getting just a little bit of perspective on, and I would say we still know about 2% of the actual story of what was really going on here. The rest still unknown. If you think we should know what else was happening here, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever, because once we find out what was really going on here, you find out how government actually really works. And it works in some really evil, sinister, horrible ways that we can't even describe you here on this broadcast. That's where we're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more on lucanfilteredcom right after this video. See you there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys watching this one, and that's why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.